Hi guys, Arindam here. And in the sixth part of my museum video series, I will be taking a look at all the invertebrates present in this game. Now, invertebrates stand for any animal that doesn't have a vertebral column, which mostly includes the different types of insects and other water-dwelling creatures like the Tusoteuthis, etc. So let us begin. First off, the color I have coded as brick or brownish with green. The reason I've coded it as brick is because most of these invertebrates are made up of chitin or a carapace, which is mostly in brick colored, and they mostly live in swamps and marshes and have this hence the green part of the coloring. So let's start with the first creature. The first creature we have is Akatina. Akatina is a genus of medium-sized to very large air-breathing tropical land snails, terrestrial pulmonate gastropod mollusks in the family Akatinidae. There are some 200 species of Akatina in sub-Saharan Africa. Some of these species are kept as terrarium animals due to their size and colorful shells, so they are kept as pets. Like almost all pulmonate gastropods, these snails are hermaphrodites, meaning they have both male as well as female sex organs. Next we have is a rather important creature called Ammonite, a very important creature as far as the Earth's history is concerned. So Ammonites or Ammonoids are a group of extinct marine mollusk animals in the subclass Ammonoidea of the class Cephalopoda. These mollusks, commonly referred to as ammonites, are more closely related to living colloids like octopuses, squids and cuttlefish than they are to shelled nautiloids such as the living Nautilus species. The earliest ammonites appeared during the Devonian period, and the last species vanished in the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction event. They lived from 409 to 66 million years ago. Ammonites are excellent index fossils, and it is often possible to link the rock layer in which a particular species or genus is found to specific geological time periods. Their fossil shells usually take the form of planispirals, although there were some helically spiraled and non-spiral forms. And when we're talking about the spiral, we're talking about this spiral part, because this is the part that is actually hard and made of chitin and is generally preserved. Many of these ammonoids probably lived in the open water of ancient seas rather than at the sea bottom, because their fossils are often found in rocks laid down under conditions where no bottom-dwelling life is found. Many of them, such as the Oxynoticeras, are thought to have been very good swimmers, with flattened, discus-shaped streamlined shells, although some ammonoids were less effective swimmers and were likely to have been slow-swimming bottom dwellers. They may, just like in the game, they may have avoided predation by squirting ink, much like modern cephalopods. Ink is occasionally preserved even on the fossil specimens. Few of the ammonites occurred in the lower and middle part of the Jurassic period, reached a size exceeding 23 cm in diameter, diameter of this shell part. Parapuzosia sepenradensis of the Cretaceous period of Germany is one of the largest known ammonites, reaching 2 meters in diameter. So imagine this part of the shell being 2 meters, which is I think close to the size of the Ark specimen, and probably even bigger. Next we have is the Aranyo. Now, we never had spiders like this big in fossil records, but this is the enlarged size. Aranyo or spiders belonging to the order Aranyia are air-breathing arthropods that have 8 legs, mouth with fangs generally able to inject venom, and spinnerets that extrude silk. They are the largest order of arachnids and rank 7th in total number of species diversity among all orders of organisms. Spiders are found worldwide on every continent except for Antarctica and have become established in nearly every habitat with the exception of air and sea colonization. As of July 2019, at least 48,200 spider species and 120 families have been recorded by taxonomists. Spider-like arachnids with silk-producing spigots appeared in the Devonian period about 386 million years ago, but these animals apparently lacked spinnerets. True spiders have been found in Carboniferous rocks from the 318 to the 299 million years ago. All but one known species are predators, mostly preying on insects and on other reptiles, and even sometimes spiders, although a few large species can also take birds and lizards. While the venom of a few species is dangerous to humans, scientists are now researching the use of spider venom in medicine and as non-polluting pesticides. Spider silk provides a combination of lightness, strength, and elasticity that is superior to that of synthetic materials, and spider silk genes have been inserted into other mammals and plants to see if these can be used as silk factories. Next we have is a creature that many of us, including me, are afraid of in this game if we are naked. Arthropleura. Here's the funny part. In real life they would actually be harmless and not be scary. So let me show you why. Arthropleura, Greek for jointed ribs, is a genus of extinct millipede arthropods that lived in what is now northeastern North America and Scotland around 345 to 295 million years ago, from the Vician stage of the lower Carboniferous period to the Aselian stage of the lower Permian period. The largest species of the genus are the largest known land invertebrates of all time and would have had few, if any, predators. Arthropleura ranged in length from only about 0.3 meters long to Arthropleura's Arthropleura armata, which was 2.5 meters long. Arthropleura was able to grow larger than most arthropods, partly because of the greater partial pressure of oxygen in Earth's atmosphere at that time, and because of the lack of large terrestrial vertebrate predators. For a very long time, Arthropleura was believed to be an active predator and frequently portrayed as a gigantic version of the tropical centipede genus Scolopendra. It is now known that Arthropleura was not a predator like modern centipedes, but a herbivorous arthropod like modern millipedes. Yeah, first of all it's herbivorous, second of all it's not even a centipede, it's a millipede. Arthropleura became extinct soon after the end of the Carboniferous period, when the moist climate began drying out, reducing the rainforests of the Carboniferous and allowing the desertification characteristics of the Permian. Next we have is the Nidharia. The C is absent in the spelling though. Nidharia is a phylum under the kingdom Animalia, which contains over 11,000 species of aquatic animals found both in freshwater and marine environments, but they are predominantly marine. Their distinguishing feature is nidocytes, specialized cells that they use mainly for capturing prey. Their bodies consist of mesoglia, which is a non-living jelly-like substance sandwiched between two layers of epithelium cells that are mostly one cell thick. Nidharians are classified into four main groups: the almost wholly sessile anthozoa like sea anemones, corals, and sea pens, the swimming scyphozoa or jellyfish, the one that you see here, cubozoa or box jellyfish, and hydrozoa, a diverse group that includes all the freshwater Nidharians as well as marine forms like the hydra and the Portuguese man of war. In this game actually Nidharia is represented as a jellyfish, but they are actually a much larger kingdom of animals. Most Nidharians prey on organisms ranging in size from plankton to animals several times larger than themselves, and a few are parasites. Many of these Nidharians are preyed on by other animals including starfish, sea slugs, fish, turtles, and even other Nidharians. Here's something interesting. All Nidharians can regenerate, allowing them to recover from injury and to reproduce asexually. Jellyfish are armed with nematocysts, which should be somewhere here, these barbs. Jellyfish are armed with nematocysts. Contact with a jellyfish tentacle can trigger millions of nematocysts to pierce the screen and inject venom. But only some species' venom cause an adverse reaction in humans. The effect of stings range from mild discomfort to extreme pain and death. You remember that Steve Irwin, one of the very famous biologists from Australia, died because of one of these jellyfish stings. Unfortunate. Next we have is the dung beetle, another creature which in real life is super duper important and which has been really accurately displayed in Ark as far as its function is concerned. Now, dung beetles are beetles that feed on feces. Some species of dung beetles can bury dung 250 times their own mass in one night. So they can literally eat dung that is 250 times its own mass. Many dung beetles, known as rollers, roll dung into round balls, which are used as a food source or breeding chambers. Others, known as tunnelers, bury the dung wherever they find it. A third group, the dwellers, neither roll nor burrow. They simply live in manure. They are often attracted by the dung collected by burrowing owls. There are dung beetle species of different colors and sizes, and some functional traits such as body mass and leg length can have high levels of variability. Dung beetles can also navigate when here's something very interesting for all of you guys. Dung beetles can navigate when the Milky Way or clusters of bright stars are visible, making them the only insects known to orient themselves by the Milky Way. Imagine, they rely on the stars. They actually have that much intelligence. Dung beetles play a role in agriculture and tropical forests. By burying and consuming dung, they improve the nutrient recycling and soil structure. Dung beetles have been further shown to improve soil conditions and plant growth on rehabilitated coal mines in South Africa. They are also important for the dispersal of seeds present in animals' dung, influencing seed burial and seedling recruitment in tropical forests. They can protect livestock as well, such as cattle, by removing the dung, which, if left, would provide habitat for pests such as flies. Therefore, many countries have introduced the creatures for the benefit of animal husbandry. Finally, the American Institute of Biological Sciences report that dung beetles saved the United States cattle industry an estimated $380 million annually through burying above ground livestock feces. So, as far as Ark is concerned, only their size is rather big. Other than that, they are actually helpful in producing fertilizers by consuming feces. So, yeah, very accurate. Next we have is another creature which is super important as far as Ark's evolution is concerned, the Eurypterid. Eurypterids, often informally called sea scorpions, are a group of extinct arthropods that form the order Eurypterida. The earliest known Eurypterids date from the Ordovician period 467.3 million years ago. The group is likely to have appeared first either during the early Ordovician or late Cambrian period. With approximately 250 species, the Eurypterida is the most diverse Paleozoic chelicerate order. Let me show you from this part, looks better there. The group continued to diversify during the subsequent period, but the Eurypterids were heavily affected by the late Devonian extinction event. They declined in numbers and diversity until becoming extinct during the Permian Triassic extinction event 251.9 million years ago. By the way guys, the Permian Triassic extinction event is the biggest and most important extinction event in the history of this planet, even more important than the one that wiped out the dinosaur during the end of Cretaceous. So practically during that Permian extinction event, practically all life on Earth nearly died off. Think about how scary that is. And that is also the reason why dinosaurs could flourish. Dinosaurs literally got a clean Earth to invade. Think about it. So, although popularly called sea scorpions, only the earliest Eurypterids were marine. Many later forms lived in brackish or fresh water, and they were not true scorpions. The Eurypterids include the largest known arthropods ever to have lived. The largest, Jaekelopterus, let me say it again. The largest was called Jaekelopterus, reached 2.5 meters in length. Eurypterids were not uniformly large, and most species were less than 20 centimeters. The smallest Eurypterid, Alcanopterus, was only 2.03 centimeters long. The Eurypterid biology is particularly suggestive of a carnivorous lifestyle. Not only were many of them large, but they had stereoscopic vision. So, stereoscopic vision means the ability to perceive depth, like we humans do. Next, we have our giant bees, these two guys. This is actually the queen bee. This is the queen bee, and this is the normal bee. So, the honeybee, also spelled honeybee, is a eusocial flying insect within the genus Apis of the bee clade, all native to Eurasia but spread to 4 other continents by human beings. They are known for construction of perennial colonial nests from wax, for the large size of their colonies, and for the surplus production and storage of honey, distinguishing their hives as a prized foraging target of many animals, including honey badgers, bears, and human hunter-gatherers. Now that is something we all know. Ark's honeybee is called Apis lithohermia. It is the name that is given in Ark, and it belongs to an actual name of extinct honeybee. This Apis lithohermia was the largest honeybee fossil discovered, rivaling in size to the modern giant honeybee. A new fossil of this honeybee was discovered and figured from the Middle Miocene deposits of Iki Island in Japan, 15.97 to 13.65 million years ago. The average measurements include a body length of 18 mm with a forewing length of 12 mm by 4.5 mm, which for a bee is rather big. Okay. Next we have our glow bugs. Okay. So, what is this glow bug anyway? Glow bugs are actually fireflies. So, the glow bug belongs to the Lampyridae family of insects, which are in the beetle order Coleoptera with more than 2000 described species. They are soft-bodied beetles that are commonly called fireflies, glowworms, or lightning bugs for their conspicuous use of bioluminescence during twilight to attract mates or prey. Fireflies produce a cold light with no infrared or ultraviolet frequencies. This chemically produced light from the lower abdomen may be yellow, green, or pale red, with wavelengths from 510 to 670 nanometers. So it comes from here actually. Some species, such as the dimly glowing blue ghost of the eastern US, are commonly thought to emit blue light less than 490 nanometers per wavelength. Although this is a false perception of their truly green emission of light due to the Perkin's effect. Fireflies are found in temperate and tropical climates. Many are found in marshes or in wet wooded areas where their larvae have abundant source of food. Light production in fireflies is due to a type of chemical reaction called bioluminescence. This process occurs in specialized light-emitting organs, usually on a firefly's lower abdomen. The enzyme luciferase acts on the luciferin in the presence of magnesium ions, ATP or adenosine triphosphate, and oxygen to produce light. Finally, since fireflies depend on their own light to reproduce, they are also very sensitive to environmental levels of light and consequently to light pollution. Yeah. Okay. We have this gasback. This one is a completely fictional creature. There is no paleontological data for this. As much as I can say is that this is literally a inflated centipede like creature. That's all I can say. There is no real data for it. Next we have is the mantis. Okay, I have a lot to say about mantis because they are interesting creatures. Now these mantises are an order Mantodia of insects that contain over 2400 species in about 430 genera in 15 families. The largest family is the Mantidae or Mantids family. Mantises are distributed worldwide in temperate and tropical habitats. They have, let me show you, they have triangular heads and with bulging eyes supported on flexible necks. As you can see, their eyes are bulging. Their elongated bodies may or may not have wings, but all Mantodia have forelegs that are greatly enlarged and adapted for catching and gripping prey. Forelegs are like these arms. Their upright posture, while remaining stationary with forearms folded, has led to the common name, the praying mantis. What is interesting to note is the closest relatives of mantises are termites and cockroaches. Yes, that's right. So, mantises have large triangular heads with a beak-like snout and mandibles. Sorry for the incorrect way of speaking snout. So, they have a large triangular head with beak-like snout and mandibles. They have two bulbous compound eyes, three small simple eyes, and a pair of antennae. The articulation of the neck is also remarkably flexible. Some species of mantis can, can actually rotate their entire neck 180 degrees. Like one moment the head is here and the moment the head is entirely at the back. So yeah. Mantises have two spiked grasping forelegs, these forelegs, which are called raptorial legs, in which prey items are caught and held securely. These mantises are generally predators of arthropods. The majority of mantises are ambush predators that only feed upon live prey within their reach. They either camouflage themselves and remain stationary, waiting for the prey to approach, or stalk their prey with slow, stealthy movements. Larger mantises sometimes eat smaller individuals of their own species, as well as small vertebrates like lizards, frogs, small birds, and fishes. But mantises are themselves preyed on by vertebrates like frogs, lizards, and birds, and by invertebrates such as spiders, large species of hornets, and ants. Generally, mantises protect themselves by camouflage, most species being cryptically colored to resemble foliage or other backgrounds, both to avoid predators and to better snare their prey. The last thing that I'm going to say is actually the most important thing about them. So hear this out. Sexual cannibalism is common among most predatory species of mantises in captivity. It has sometimes been observed in natural populations where about a quarter of the male-female encounters result in the male mantis being eaten by the female mantis. Yes, around 90% of the predatory species of mantises exhibits sexual cannibalism. The female may begin feeding by biting the male's head off. Wow. Imagine going on a date with your girlfriend and your girlfriend, eats you completely. Yeah. Well, that is my first floor. We'll go to the second floor now. We will start off with the two jug bugs. As you can see, one of the jug bug is a oil jug bug and the second one is a water jug bug. And they have the exact same skin of a water jug bug. The devs did not bother putting separate dermis for the oil jug bug. They are also not real life creatures and are completely made up, so they don't have any real life equivalent. So I'm going to move on to the next one, which is the leech. Leeches are segmented parasitic or predatory worms that belong to the phylum Annelida and comprise the subclass Hirudinia. They are closely related to the Oligochaetus, which includes the earthworm, and like them have soft, muscular segmented bodies that can lengthen and contract. Can I see the mouth? Yes. The majority of leeches live in freshwater habitats, while some species can be found in terrestrial and marine environment. The best known species, such as the medicinal leech Hirudo medicinalis, are hematophagous, attaching themselves to a host with a sucker and feeding on blood, having first secreted the peptide hirudin to prevent the blood from clotting. The jaws used to pierce the skin are replaced in other species by a proboscis, which is pushed into the skin. A minority of leech species are predatory, mostly preying on small invertebrates. Leeches have been used in medicine from ancient times until the 19th century to draw blood from patients. In modern times, leeches find medicinal use in treatment of joint diseases such as epicondylitis and osteoarthritis, extremity vein diseases, and in microsurgery, while hirudin is used as an anticoagulant drug to treat blood clotting disorders. That is the reason why in this game we can use the leech's blood to form lesser antidotes and other things. It has medicinal properties. Now, think about diseased leeches. So, leeches normally carry parasites in their digestive tracts, which cannot survive in humans and do not pose a threat. However, bacteria, viruses, and parasites from previous blood sources can survive within a leech for months, which is why we find diseased leeches in this game to be dangerous. Okay. So this is my video recorder slowing up the game. It's Fraps, and Fraps does take up a kind of lot of frame rates. Okay, so next we have is the Lymantria. Lymantria is a genus of tussock moths in the family Erebidae. They are widely distributed throughout Europe, Japan, India, Sri Lanka, Java, Myanmar, and Celebes. Moths are paraphyletic group of insects that includes all members of the order Lepidoptera that are not butterflies, with moths making up the vast majority of the order. Most species of moth are nocturnal, but there are also crepuscular and diurnal species. Some moths are farmed for their economic value. The most notable of these is the silkworm, the larva of the domesticated moth Bombyx mori. It is farmed for the silk with which it builds its cocoon. As of 2002, the silk industry produces more than 130 million kilograms of raw silk, worth about $250 million per year. Moths frequently appear to circle artificial lights, although the reason for this behavior, called positive phototaxis, is currently unknown. One of the hypotheses is called celestial or transverse orientation. By maintaining a constant angular relationship to a bright celestial light, such as the moon, they can fly in a straight line. But when a moth encounters a much closer artificial light and uses it for navigation, like the lamps in our homes or the lights at our streets, the angle changes noticeably after only a short distance, in addition to being often below the horizon. Studies have found that light pollution caused by increasing use of artificial lights has either led to a severe decline in moth population in some parts of the world or has severely disrupted nocturnal pollination, because moths are important creatures like butterflies for pollinating different plants. Unfortunate. Okay. So the next creature will be the Meganeura. Meganeura is a genus of extinct insects from the Carboniferous period, approximately 300 million years ago, which resembled and are related to present-day dragonflies. With wingspans ranging from 65 cm to over 70 cm, Meganeura monyi is one of the largest known flying insect species. Meganeura was predatory, with a diet mainly consisting of other insects as well as amphibians. It is generally considered that the maximum potential size of an insect is dictated by how much oxygen is available for respiration. The oxygen content of our current day atmosphere is typically 21% of the total gases. But back in the Carboniferous, it was much higher at up to 35%. Insects like Meganeura breathe through a system of tracheal tubes that carry oxygen directly into their internal tissues. A higher amount of oxygen in the atmosphere would supply a passive boost to these tissues with no effort on the part of the Meganeura, allowing for larger growth. Next we have is the Pulmonoscorpius. Pulmonoscorpius curctonensis, or the breathing scorpion, is an extinct species of giant scorpion that lived during the Vician age of the Carboniferous period 338 million years ago. Its fossils were found at East Kirkton Quarry in the West Lothian in Scotland. The diet of Pulmonoscorpius is not known directly, but it is probable that it preyed on smaller arthropods and smaller tetrapods. It could grow up to 70 centimeters long. Pulmonoscorpius would probably have killed using its venom in its tail. This is inferred because it had small pincers and a thick tail, which generally means that it killed by poisoning its prey. It hunted by ambushing its prey and then stinging its prey until it died. It then would have sucked all its bodily fluids. It is also probable that Pulmonoscorpius had good vision because it's a scorpion, because of its abnormally large eyes. Pulmonoscorpius is also an unusual species of scorpion because scorpions generally live in jungles, forests, rainforests, mountains and deserts, but Pulmonoscorpius used to live mostly in swamps. It is very likely that Pulmonoscorpius grew so large because of an abundance of oxygen in the atmosphere caused by the large amount of trees in the Carboniferous. One more trivia: Carboniferous is that period in the Earth's timeline from which all of the coal and gas and petrol and everything that you see here, all the fossil fuels have come. That is why it's called Carboniferous. Next we have are the two Titanomyrma. This is, I think, the drone, so that will make it the Titanomyrma soldier. Okay, so Titanomyrma, or the Titan ant, is a genus of prehistoric giant ant. The latest species to be discovered, Titanomyrma lubei, was described in 2011 when a 49.5 million year old fossilized winged queen ant comparable in size to a hummingbird was found in Wyoming, United States. Titanomyrma gigantea is the largest giant ant ever found, larger than the biggest extant giant ants. The fossils indicate that males can grow up to 3 centimeters and the queens can grow up to 6 centimeters long. It had a wingspan of about 15 centimeters. So technically the ones with wings should be more or less the queens, and these are the normal drones. So fossils show that Titanomyrma gigantea did not possess a sting and did not have a closing mechanism on the crop. It is surmised that it must have sprayed formic acid as a defense and either ate fresh food in the manner of leafcutter ants or was carnivorous. Modern relatives include driver ants. Titanomyrma may have been a precursor species, possibly following a raiding lifestyle and butchering large animals. Okay, I think this is the most important creature in the entire invertebrate thing, trilobite. Yeah, they don't look much, but they are super important from an evolution perspective. Okay, let me take a breath. Trilobites, standing for 3 lobes, are a group of extinct marine arachnomorph arthropods that form the class Trilobita. Trilobites form one of the earliest known groups of arthropods. They first appeared in the early Cambrian period, that is 521 million years ago. and they flourished throughout the lower Paleozoic before slipping into a long decline when, during the Devonian period, all the trilobite orders except the Proetids died out. The last extant trilobites finally disappeared in the mass extinction event at the end of the Permian about 252 million years ago. Trilobites were among the most successful of all early animals, existing in oceans for almost 300 million years. So, let me tell you something. Most of the creatures that you have seen, they have all been from the Carboniferous, the fishes from the Devonian, and some of them from the Ordovician and Silurian. This guy came from the very first period of this planet, that is the Precambrian. It's unbelievable how old that is. So, just for you history buffs, it will be like Precambrian, Cambrian, Ordovician, Silurian, Devonian, Carboniferous, then the Triassic, Jurassic, Cretaceous, followed by all the things in the, after the thing like Holocene, Miocene, Eocene, all these things. And we are currently in the Holocene, by the way. So, trilobites had many lifestyles. Some moved over the seabed as predators, scavengers, or filter feeders, and some swam, feeding on plankton. Some even crawled onto land. Most lifestyles expected of modern marine arthropods are seen in trilobites, with the possible exception of parasitism. So they were literally everything, all in one kind of animals. So some trilobites, particularly the family Olenidae, are even thought to have evolved a symbiotic relationship with sulfur-eating bacteria from which they derived food. The largest trilobites may have been 45 centimeters long and weighed 4.5 kilograms. Trilobite fossils are found worldwide, with many thousands of known species. Because they appeared quickly in geological time and molted like other arthropods thanks to their chitin, trilobites serve as excellent index fossils, enabling geologists to date the age of the rocks in which they are found. They were among the first fossils to attract widespread attention, and new species are being discovered every year. Finally, we come to the Tusoteuthis. Tusoteuthis, meaning crushed squid, is an extinct genus of very large encoteuthed cephalopod that lived during the Cretaceous period. Although often called a squid, it is now thought to be more closely related to modern octopuses. Examination of Gladius remains has yielded an estimated mantle length close to or equal to that of the modern giant squid. Fossil remains have been found in parts of the one-time western interior seaweed of North America, including late Cretaceous rocks in Kansas, Colorado, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, and the Manitoba province. One species, the Tusoteuthis longa, is traditionally recognized. Tusoteuthis is assumed to have preyed on other cephalopods, fishes, and possibly even small marine reptiles. Despite its size, which was around 20 to 35 feet or 6 to 11 meters long with tentacles fully outstretched, like from here to here it would be around 6 to 11 meters. Tusoteuthis was still preyed on by other animals, especially the many various predatory fish of the western interior seaweed. So Tusoteuthis was not, it was a big thing, but it was not as gigantic and dangerous as we see in Ark. And by the way, Tusoteuthis, there have been remains of Tusoteuthis that have been fed on attacked by mosasaurs. So in real life, mosasaurs would actually prey on these guys, and they would not be of the equal size as we see in the game. Okay, so that's it for the Invertebrate Museum. I hope you enjoyed the video, learned a lot from it, and I hope to see you soon. I still have a lot of things to cover. We have not even gone to 50% of it. We still have all of these things to cover. So till then, thank you for watching. In the next video, I will be showing you probably the most interesting of all the museum exhibits, the fantasy creatures like the wyverns and the basilisks and the phoenix and all those things. So till then, thank you for watching and stay tuned for more.